Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a fascinating and I think often challenging journey right into your emotional core.
We really are.
We're dedicating this entire deep dive to understanding one of the most powerful and, often suppressed human emotions, anger.
And we're pulling our insights from a set of sources that focus really intensely on self-processing. Specifically, we're looking at excerpts around day 11 of a program built on internal work and mirror techniques.
Right. And this material isn't about avoiding anger, is it? It's about mastering its release.
Exactly, so it doesn't end up mastering you.
Our mission today is, I think, pretty crystal clear. We want to extract the actionable methods, the surprising psychological nuggets that explain exactly how to process rage and resentment before they become internalized.
Before they become a problem.
Yeah, before they become a problem. We want to clear that emotional space to make room for things that actually serve you, like peace and, well, joy.
And we should probably start with the foundational concept here, which is
Right.
anger is not inherently bad. It's an honest, immediate response to feeling wronged or ignored or hurt. But the material stresses that the real danger lies in suppression. When anger isn't expressed or processed outwardly.
When you hold it back.
Yes. When it's held back, it's processed inwardly.
And that distinction, outward versus inward, that seems critical. Because the moment you push that honest emotion down, it doesn't just vanish.
It never vanishes. It turns toxic.
Yeah.
This internalizing, this kind of pressure cooker effect, is described in the sources as a potential precursor to some serious personal dysfunction.
So it's not just feeling bad in the moment.
No. It often surfaces later not as rage, but as, say, chronic resentment, or pervasive bitterness, or it can even shift into depression.
Which is, I've heard it put this way, anger turned inward against yourself.
That's the perfect definition. And when you look at chronic anger, you start to see these patterns, right? People often get angry about the exact same things over and over.
So why does that happen if the issue seems resolved on the surface?
Well, it happens because the core feeling is that they're not safe or allowed to express that emotion. They feel their anger is, invalid or too dangerous for the outside world, so they swallow it whole.
So the goal is to interrupt that pattern immediately.
As soon as it arises, you have to learn to handle it and release it, not wait until it's calcified into this corrosive thing inside you.
Okay, so let's start right there. That immediate moment, the feeling spikes. Before we get to the more, sophisticated techniques, what are the initial physical outlets the sources suggest?
The first step is simple, but it's really challenging for a lot of people. Don't be afraid to let the anger take its natural initial course. We're taught to suppress that primal urge.
To be polite.
To be polite, exactly. But if you're having a strong physical impulse, that urge to scream or hit or thrash, the program says to listen to it, but channel it safely.
And channeling it safely means having a tool ready.
Yes. The simplest, most effective method is physical expression without causing any harm. Find some pillows, a cushion, maybe a thick towel, and just hit them.
You're giving that physical energy a release valve.
An immediate release valve.
Yeah.
And the sources emphasize that if you're at this point, that anger has already been bottled up for way too long. But there should be zero guilt or shame attached to that action. It's a necessary clearing.
I think that's so important, releasing the guilt. The shame of being angry often becomes the second layer on top of the original wound, right? It just compounds the whole thing.
That's a powerful point. We're aiming for emotional honesty here.
So once that immediate physical spike is handled, the material says the best way to deal with anger is to talk openly with the person you're angry with.
If possible.
Right. But there's a key warning sign they highlight, which I found really insightful. If your immediate impulse is to scream at someone, that's actually a diagnosis. It's not just a feeling.
It means the anger hasn't just come up. It's been accumulating for months, maybe even years. And that screaming impulse is often a sign that you feel like open, rational communication is impossible.
Or unsafe. Or that you just won't be heard.
Exactly. That's the psychological wall.
So if direct confrontation feels impossible, we need the next best thing. A method that gives you the emotional release without the external fallout.
And that leads us directly into the core technique of day 11.
Mirror work.
Yes. Mirror work provides that essential psychological and physical safety zone. It's explicitly called the second best way to let those powerful repressed feelings out. It allows you to get all of it. The anger, the hurt, the fear out of your system.
I'm curious, though, why is screaming into a mirror fundamentally different from just screaming into the air? Is there a psychological component that the reflection activates?
Oh, there is a massive psychological component.
Yeah.
When you look into the mirror, you're looking at yourself, which forces you to take responsibility for your own emotion. But more powerfully, in this exercise, you're using the reflection as a safe projection screen for the other person.
Ah.
You're confronting the image of the person who hurt you, or rather, the internalized feeling of them, and you're giving yourself explicit permission to say the unsayable. That permission is the key.
That's the release. It's a directed catharsis. The sources have a very compelling example of this. The story of the student who had spent years just intellectualizing her resentment.
Right. She understood her issues intellectually.
Yeah.
She knew she was angry at her controlling mother and frustrated with her alcoholic daughter.
Mm.
But she just couldn't, in real life, express it.
The emotional dam was blocked.
Completely blocked by decades of propriety and, fear of conflict.
And through the mirror work, she opened the floodgates. She gave herself full permission to scream, to yell, to say every cruel and spiteful name she'd ever wanted to call them.
And the outcome is what makes this so transformative. She allowed herself to express the unexpressible. And when she finished, she said she felt a tremendous weight had been lifted. The resentment was finally gone.
The most profound part of that story for me is the shift in her relationship. After she released all that venom toward her daughter's image in the mirror, when the real daughter later came to visit, she found she couldn't stop hugging her.
Because the internal emotional sludge was cleared out. And what rushed in to fill that space was unconditional love.
It's a perfect illustration of emotional space management. You can't put new, positive emotional energy into a reservoir that's already full of old, stagnant bitterness.
You can't. When you actively release the anger, you literally make room for love and peace to flow back in. People overwhelmingly report feeling much happier and like a huge burden has been lifted.
So for you listening, if you're ready to engage in this, let's detail the Day 11 mirror work exercise, because it needs to be done correctly to be effective, right?
It's a structured, intentional approach. Step 1, find a location where you have a mirror and you are absolutely certain you will not be disturbed. This space has to feel safe and private.
And step 2 is initiating that connection with yourself.
Yes. Look into your eyes in the mirror. If direct eye contact feels too intense at first, you can just gently shift your focus to your mouth or your nose. The goal is just to be present with yourself.
And once that presence is established, you move to the focus of the anger itself.
Step 3. Begin to visualize. See yourself and/or the person you believe has wronged you in that reflection. Recall the moment the anger took root. Don't fight the feeling. Just allow the raw emotion to surface.
And now comes the articulation, the speaking part. And this isn't just vague venting, it has to be highly specific.
Absolutely. You begin to tell this person exactly what you're angry about. You have to use precise language that names the pain. The program provides these structures for a reason.
Because they force you out of vague frustration and into concrete emotional honesty.
That's right.
Yeah.
You might use phrases like, I am angry at you because you betrayed my trust when, or I am hurt because you consistently ignored my boundaries when you did. And crucially,
Fear.
the fear. I am so afraid because you fill in the reason and that makes me feel unsafe.
Yeah.
You're releasing the whole emotional stack, not just the anger on top.
And the final step reminds us that one conversation with the mirror, that's probably not the finish line.
Rarely. It's rarely a single session. The sources reassure you that you may need to repeat this exercise several times to really get rid of all that stored resentment. But you have to trust the process. As the sources affirm, the power to release this is within you.
Okay, so that addresses the backlog, the accumulated past anger. But if we stop there, we risk filling that well right back up again. So we have to transition from releasing past anger to preventing future habitual anger.
And that means challenging the fundamental internal thought patterns that create it. This is the pivot from reaction to creation.
From blame to choice.
Exactly. The next phase is a set of powerful journaling exercises. They're designed to shift the focus from, they made me angry, to, why am I choosing this pattern?
And these diagnostic questions are, well, they're profoundly uncomfortable because they force radical self-responsibility.
They absolutely do. They challenge the victim narrative. You have to ask yourself, why am I choosing to be angry all the time? What am I doing to create situation after situation that angers me?
And that's not about blaming yourself, is it? It's about recognizing that our internal expectation often sets up the external experience.
Precisely. And then you get to those questions that really illuminate the deep hidden dynamics. Like, who am I still punishing?
Wow.
Is this chronic anger actually a way to punish someone from the past, a parent, an ex-partner, by making my own life miserable today? That's the core insight into habitual anger.
It's often a secondary gain, a psychological reward for holding on to the pain.
And the final critical question: what am I giving out that attracts others to irritate me? Are we projecting an expectation of conflict?
That's the self-fulfilling prophecy right there. If I believe the world is hostile, I unconsciously create or interpret situations in a way that confirms that belief.
Precisely. Once you start diagnosing those old patterns, you have the awareness you need to pivot. You stop asking, why do people always?
Mhm.
And you start asking, what do I want instead?
Which leads to the second set of journaling prompts, which are all about desire and happiness. We move from diagnosis to design. You're instructed to ask and write down answers to, what do I want? What truly makes me happy?
And the most important question of all, what can I do to make myself happy? This shifts the agency right back to you, away from the external source of irritation.
So you're constructing new, optimistic, cheerful patterns of belief to replace that anger habit.
And at the heart of this entire Day 11 program, the core belief we are anchoring ourselves to is this: I deserve to feel good.
That's the foundation. If you don't truly believe you deserve peace, the work just won't stick.
It won't. The underlying philosophy is that we fundamentally create our experiences through our patterns of thought and feeling.
Mm.
What you believe about yourself, about your worth, your right to happiness, that becomes your living truth.
And the sources have this powerful demystification of those negative thoughts. They remind us that thoughts, they're just words strung together. They're intrinsically meaningless.
They have no power whatsoever until we decide to give them meaning. We empower the negative loops by focusing on them over and over again. We treat them like facts when they're really just suggestions running on a loop.
And we have to acknowledge that sadness, loneliness, guilt, anger, fear, they're all normal emotions. They have their place. But the warning here is clear. When they become the dominant pattern, life becomes an emotional battlefield.
And the affirmations are our peaceful artillery to step off that battlefield. We start with fundamental acceptance. It is okay to have my feelings. We don't suppress them anymore.
But then you pair it with an active command for change.
Yes, I release the pattern in my consciousness that is creating resistance to my good. That's moving from simple acceptance to active conscious redirection.
So that's the complete internal shift. Release the past, diagnose the present pattern, and intentionally design a new future.
And now that the internal system is cleansed and recalibrated, the sources introduce the final expansive practice for the day: the healing light meditation.
And this visualization is powerful because it uses that newly cleared internal space to generate and project energy outward.
You begin by looking deep into the center of your heart and visualizing a tiny pinpoint of brilliantly colored light. This point is your absolute center of love and healing energy.
And the practice is to watch that light grow.
Yes, you watch it begin to pulsate and expand. First, it fills your entire heart, then moves outward to fill your chest, your head, your limbs, all the way to the tips of your toes and fingers. You should visualize your entire body just absolutely glowing.
And this light is explicitly linked to physical wellness, not just emotional release.
Precisely. As you breathe, you affirm: with every breath I take, I'm getting healthier and healthier. You use this light to visualize actively cleansing your body of any disease, any discord, any tension.
So you're filling yourself with the goodness you affirmed you deserve.
Exactly. And once you are completely saturated with this light, the practice expands beyond you. The light radiates outward to the world.
It becomes a shared energy.
It does. The program emphasizes that this is a privilege to share your internal love and light. You visualize this energy moving out from you in all directions, touching everyone who needs it.
And the sources are so specific about where to send it. It's not vague, it's focused intention.
It moves into hospitals, nursing homes, orphanages, prisons, mental hospitals, what they call institutions of despair, bringing hope and peace. It even moves into every home in your city, wherever there is pain and suffering.
And that leads to the final step of focused intention.
Yes. You're asked to select one place on the planet. It can be a place of conflict far away or just a troubled house around the corner. And you concentrate your entire reservoir of love, light, and healing energy on that single place. You see it whole, balanced, and harmonious.
So why is projecting this outward so beneficial to the person doing the visualization?
It's the ultimate application of the universal principle of reciprocity. The sources reiterate: what we give out comes back to us multiplied. By giving focused love and healing energy, you create an energetic vacuum that pulls that same frequency back into your own life.
You become a conduit for the very peace you're seeking.
You do.
So if we look back at the whole trajectory of this Day 11 work, We started with the visceral need to release physical aggression, moved to the deep psychological clearing of resentment through the mirror,
Then reprogrammed our internal patterns to accept that we deserve peace.
and finally, we amplified that new internal peace by sharing it universally. It's a holistic process. Clean the slate, rewrite the script, and then share the abundance.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of communication, perhaps the deepest insight is that chronic anger is always a signal. It's reminding you that you are not communicating effectively, either with the world or, more often, with yourself.
And by recognizing that signal, you have the immediate opportunity to correct it rather than just react. The commitment required here is enormous, but the reward is true serenity.
Which raises an important question for you, the listener, to maybe explore this week. When I look deep inside, do I truly and wholeheartedly believe that I deserve peace and serenity in my emotional life?
That belief isn't just the starting line, it's the power source.
Let's carry that core affirmation forward.
I deserve to feel good.
I deserve to feel good.
Thank you for sharing your sources and for trusting us to dive deep into this vital emotional work with you. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.